believe it's 47 years this year since I got married?
Oh my goodness.
47 years, 1977.
That's
before you were born.
That is before I was born, and that is the year when Lawrence was born.
Yeah.
Wow.
That is
That is unreal. So Jean, how do you manage? Like, what is your secret?
It is really that we've grown up together, I think. It's, we were children really, when you look back on photographs, wedding photographs even, we looked like children dressed up. It's, we were just so young, but we thought we were grown up, obviously.
How old were you when you got married?
So just 19, and Richard was just 20. Yeah, it's hard to think, because when I think that my granddaughter gets married this year and she's 25, and I think that's really young now. So yeah, I think the background as to how we got together, how we met.
How long you been together before you married?
2 years. So I was only, before I was 16, really, we were together. And after a really kind of naughty teenage time,
which we all had,
then it was nice to meet somebody that kind of took me away from it and away from the roots that I kind of set down. And we've kind of been inseparable since then. We had children when we were young, so it wasn't as though we ever really got into a routine before we had children. So we were married in the October, and Paula was born a year the following March. So we all grew up together, the two girls and us, and we grew together, which is lucky, because I think if you start to grow apart at that time, as you start to get mid-20s, late 20s, that's when problems happen. But
I think that is a very easy thing to happen to a couple, to grow apart. Like, a lot of people, they do get together, and then, like, you know, routines of family life, especially I think when you have children, like, a lot of people think that children is just flowers and butterflies and all the kisses and all the amazing baby things that you see in advertisement. But I think it's such a big pressure on your relationship.
Yeah, definitely. I think my mum said to me when I was having Paula, don't forget who's the real baby. And so she was more or less telling me, don't
forget about
your husband. So yeah, I think that's, we've always done things together, but then had very independent work lives where we've spent time apart, working away, and I think that makes you strong as well, that you can go away and you come back and you're glad to be back. Back with the people that you love. That's the main thing. So yeah, it's quite easy, my relationship.
And how would you describe them, Jean? Do you think, like, is it always smooth, or is it like a race and fireworks?
Well, I think that we are such different kind of people that we don't really clash at all. I think probably that's an important thing for us. So Richard's the calm one, and even though probably I would always say that I'm the loud one, he's the strong one. And I know that he has got my back, whatever.
And who is decision maker in your relationship?
So I would like to think that I am, but I do take a lot of notice, because he will not let me go boom, boom, and do things, which is what I would tend to do. Slow down, Jean. Let's think about this. Let's talk about this. Although I do tend to hear a sad story at work and I go home and book another holiday because I think, why not? Life's too short.
Yeah, why not? Exactly. And it's all about building memories and building experiences.
Definitely, yeah.
And did you have like any difficulties in your relations that you needed to overcome together?
The difficulty was teenage children ourselves, so that we had a tough time, and that obviously caused a strain on our lives, both our lives really, and we dealt with it in very different ways. But I think because of the strength of the relationship that we came through it, and so did the teenagers, grew up into very successful girls that I'm very proud of. So that was probably the toughest time.
How long did it last?
So probably 5 years.
Wow.
I know.
So
I know.
it's a long time.
It's a long time, yeah. But we got Isabel out of the trauma.
So that is always
and started
a
again.
light on the negative side.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
definitely. So Paula came home with Isabel when she was 10 months old. So we kind of brought her up.
So you can say you have had 3 daughters.
Yeah.
So, gosh.
Yeah, I always say I've been washing little knickers since I was 19.
So Jane, and obviously you have been with Richard together for 47 years. You probably already forgot this part of dating.
Yeah.
But what things would you look in men when you were in this period, when you were trying to get together? What is important for you, and what is for you like a red flag?
So I think sometimes when you meeting different people along the way, trying to find yourself, thinking you're grown up even though you're very young, battling against your parents and what they think is right, then when I look back, there should have been red flags that I had seen there. And, like guys that drank too much and didn't really go to work very much and things. And if I hadn't have come out of that, I would have gone down a different path. And then with Paula and her bad relationships throughout her teenage time, then I saw a lot of controlling behaviour as well, where she would always be put down and, well, you won't be able to do that. Well, you might as well give that up because you won't be successful at that. So, you might as well not bother going to school. Oh, don't bother going to work today, just ring in and say that you're sick because I need you to take me, just complete control over somebody. And to see my daughter come home as poorly as she was when she did eventually give in, then, that was a big thing and made me very wary of hearing people being put down. So if I had to say that is the worst of the red flags, then that's what I don't like. And Richard would never do that.
Of course, otherwise you wouldn't be together, happily married for so many years. And also I think it's a very big thing in relation money.
Yeah.
Like how do you deal with it? Like do you share it? Do you separate? Like do you have it's mine, it's yours, I earn that, I earn this, don't spend this, how much did you spend? I think you hear a lot of stories like this. How does it work in your family?
So what Richard always says is he earns it and I redistribute it.
Okay. I like that.
So yeah, absolutely, completely shared. And we have separate bank accounts, but we both have access to each other's bank accounts. And it's just one pot of money.
But you also, Jean, you have been working all your life, and you are very, very passionate about your work as well. As I think for women, it's quite important to have its own independence.
Yeah,
like
100%.
I think that is one of the things that I was always brought up this way. Not that you need to be able to provide for yourself, not just relying on someone. And I think on the other hand, like, you don't want to be a burden on someone else either. I think sharing is very important.
Yeah. So turning it round, what would you see as a red flag? And what do you see as making a successful marriage?
Oh gosh, well, I haven't been married as long as you
but
do.
quite a long time
That will be 15 years
Wow.
this year. And as a reflection back, so we did know each other for a year before we got married, but we didn't have this time of as much time spending together because it was in between two countries.
Yeah.
So we probably, if you would put all times that we spent together before we married, would be a month. So because we were traveling and see each other for a couple of days, for a week, maybe months, 6 weeks. And but we always would spend a lot of time calling each other. My phone bill was huge, and Lauren's phone bill was eye-watering, and that was the time before Zoom or video calls. So as strange as it sounds. So basically we got married and I moved to the UK, and it could have turned out that we're actually not right for each other because
Absolutely.
But I think it was, looking back, I wouldn't do absolutely anything different. And I think one of the probably main thing which I think worked very well for us, so that it was just two of us. So we just relying on each other, have complete trust in each other. Like I would say, what I would do, I would know that Lawrence would back me up 100%, and I would have his back all the time. So because basically I'm him and him me, despite we are completely two different people. And I think one of the main factor would I think is important in marriage is to build your own family, like, not leave your husband's family life or your wife's family life. I think you're starting a new family, and it's very important that parents on either side also realize this and give children to have the space. I think sometimes when parents get involved too much, it might not be the greatest experience. Despite we live quite far away from both of our families, but we have had a situation where it was very sad, obviously, because of wars, that my mom needed to come and live with us for a year. And I think it put, despite it was nice in some ways, but it also put a great strength on our relation, which I think was a great test. So we came through, and we're still together. So, and I would say one of the red flags for me in men will be their over attachment to their family. Like when they, for example, prioritize their family towards his new family, like wife and children. Like if they're constantly trying to walk away, asking for every step for permission for their parents. So I think that is one. And second, I think for me is, I don't know what is the one right word will be for that, but I think generosity in relation. Like I'm not, I don't mean by that buying expensive things, but I wouldn't be able to live with someone who doesn't like to enjoy life. Like, let's not go out, let's not buy things, let's not go on holiday, which sometimes I hear from some friends and from other people relation. I think for me that will be like a big no, because I think life is about building the memories, building the experiencing, living today, not like constantly just thinking about rainy day.
Yeah.
So I think that is very important.
And do you think that it was kind of fate that you met when you did, or were you looking for a change of direction?
You know, it's a very interesting question, because I was very happy in Ukraine where I was, but in our culture, like you were saying about you got married very early, when I was growing up, was around the age that my friends was getting married and building their families, and I was, at the time when I met Lawrence, I was 24, and we got married when I was 25, and by this time some of my friends already been married, had children and divorced. So, and in my head I always had this, since before I met Lawrence, before I even was planning to get married or anything like that, I was thinking I will get married before I will be 25. And it just was the fate that we met in Ukraine, in Kiev, and at the time I was very glamorously, very brightly dressed. I had like a nice sunglasses, a silver fox coat, like nice shiny boots. So I think Lawrence was impressed. But it wasn't like, it's not like a planned date, so that is just when we met. And I had a reasonably good English, not obviously as good as I had now, and we just have had a chat, and then we went for lunch. And then he took my number, and we just started to communicate, and then he came specifically to visit me, and we spent some time together, and then that is how relation began. And we realized that we're having a good time together. Sometimes I think when you just have this feeling inside that it is right, and sometimes you're just trying to make things work, but they won't because it's not right. Sometimes I think it's important in relation to follow your instinct and gut feeling, and I do always think that it's important to go into a family only if you do have a true strong feeling towards a person. Otherwise it's not going to work.
Definitely. The story behind me meeting Richard was that I went to a party, and I'd fallen out with my best friend. So we'd kind of gone separately, but it was where we used to go all the time. So I knew everybody there, but I actually knew that she liked Richard. So I went and sat on his knee.
Just enjoyed her.
And we never went back again after that day. So
well, sometimes I think true love and relations, they might be a matter of destiny.
Yes.
I think because so many people, I would say, unfortunately, don't have this.
Yeah.
So.
And I know we were talking about earlier about compliments and things. Then he's good at compliments, and we give them both ways and things like that. So even this morning when I was dressed differently as I would normally do for work, he said, "Oh, I wish I were coming with you."
That's nice. That's nice. And it's nice to carry it on through all these years of marriage.
All that time.
All this time.
Yeah. And I think as well, even though years ago when I very first started having aesthetic treatment, he was worried about doing that then. But now I think he's really proud and likes it when I get compliments, and likes it that I like my job so much, because again, although I could retire if I wanted to retire, I don't, but if I wasn't happy, then I would. And but I think to keep your own self-esteem and your own independence, it's really important if you're happy in your job. There are lots of people that aren't and can't wait for the time that they can give up, but you know, I'm lucky in the fact that I've got to the age that I am, and I'm happy in my job. I can keep my independence. Richard can retire whenever he wants to, and he still wouldn't say, well, if I'm retiring, you need to.
We'll find a job. We will
Yeah.
take Richard to Angel's Wells too.
Yeah. It can be the odd job man.
Well, no, it's nice. You see, Jean, when you were saying that, like, your relation is always like very smooth.
Yeah.
I think with me and Lawrence, we're both emotional, but I think Lawrence more emotional. I think he's I'm more emotional, but he's faster to lose the temper.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see Lawrence's Myers-Briggs, the personality profile. I would have really liked to have seen.
I think he's definitely introvert.
Mm-hmm.
He's definitely introvert, but would be interesting to see the other traits.
Yeah.
But I think what really helps us that. We could be emotional, and sometimes it could be like fireworks at home. But the good thing is that we always we express our emotion. We don't carry this inside, and then we kind of worked it out, and then we are good.
Yeah.
So, and now we know each other. Like, for example, Lawrence knows that I'm not a great person in the morning. So, like, don't start me in the morning. And I think as long as you know the person, you're trying to work around to make sure that your relation works and they are smooth, rather than trying to change someone in relation.
Definitely.
Do you think, like, in your relation you both have changed, or have you changed each other in any way?
I don't think that we have really. I think we're both kind of ingrained into the personalities that we have, and they are very different. So I think we complement each other really, and it's not that we don't have disagreements, but we always talk, and you would never hear him shout, but we don't sulk and we don't carry it on. So sometimes I would want to, but I know that it would be no good, because if he's lost interest in what I'm saying, because what I'm saying really doesn't make sense, or it's not not the right way, then it's a waste of time. So I just give in. So yeah, it's just keep working at it. I think keep looking your best, because you do that for yourself, and that makes you feel better, and everybody around you feel better. The children will grow up and be successful, because that's what we have inbuilt into them, just the same as you have. And you might not think it when they're small or when they're teenagers, but it does come through later, and then we've got a nice life afterwards.
And it is very, very, very good point you said about the children, Jean, but also I think I'm glad that we both with Lawrence see it in the same direction. Like, for example, when we're planning certain things, I think, shall we do that, or shall we do this, or shall we go on holiday, or like, for example, we had twins and I back to work almost straight after, in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And sometimes it sits and grinds behind in your head, like, do I give them enough time? Like, am I? And I would say it's true. It's much more difficult to be a full-time at-home parent than going to work. But you're also going to work because to give a better life to your child,
Yeah.
but also because it's your life and
Yeah.
what you enjoy. And kids will grow up and then they will have their own life.
Because they get your quality time.
Yeah.
Then
Quality, exactly,
that's
quality
what
time.
I think is really important. That because if I was bored all day, then they would be bored all day.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
And I also think that, you know, you finding compromise in relation, but I don't think that sacrificing is the right thing.
Yeah.
I think because then you always will feel bitter that, oh, I've done that or should have done that. So I think, but compromise is very important because if you're both not compromising, could be difficult.
Yeah. So let's have this same conversation in 10 years' time.
Well, 57 years of marriage, 25, hopefully.
Oh, silver wedding. Yeah.
Silver wedding, yes.